from Governor, let the senator go to Supreme Court.
Governor.
Also, the appointment of my deputy is a non-issue and no law compels me to appoint one. The sentiments there by Nairobi Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko when he appeared before the Senate's Devolution Committee. Sonko says the position is very sensitive and he has to consult widely before picking one. The Nairobi governor said that he has to consult his party leader, President Uhuru Kenyatta, and the deputy party leader, who's Deputy President William Ruto, before making any appointment. The committee had summoned him to explain why he is yet to appoint a deputy governor after Polycarp Igathe resigned over a year ago. In a rebuttal, the Nairobi governor noted that he had recommended several candidates, but all of them were rejected. Nairobi Senator Johnson Sakaja had raised the issue on the floor of the House last month on why Nairobi County has been operating without a deputy governor for 15 months now. That is the big story tonight. Good evening. My name is Akisa Wandera. Let's begin with Sophia Onuna, who now speaks to Johnson Sakaja, the senator who definitely once again brought the issue up with the Senate over a month ago. That has once again brought out the Nairobi governor, Mike Mbuvi Sonko, guns blazing, defending himself for being or operating as a one-man army without a deputy in Nairobi County. Over to you, Sophia.
Good evening, Linda. So residents of Nairobi City County should not expect a deputy governor anytime soon. This, if we are to go by the words of the governor, Mike Mbuvi Sonko, who earlier today told the Devolution Committee of the Senate that for him, a deputy is a non-issue. In fact, he went on to say that he has done best he can, and at this point, the ball is with the Senate to be able to guide the process of appointing another deputy governor. It has been 15 months without a deputy in the county of Nairobi, but also other issues around the high turnover in his cabinet. Many of the CECs in acting capacity, a lot of firing, reinstating, and also we do not have a substantive speaker in the county assembly. These issues were brought to the Senate by the senator, Nairobi County, Johnson Sakaja. He joins me now to talk a little bit more about this. You are in that session. Thank you for making time for us, Senator. Let's begin with when he says it's a non-issue. Of course, that was rebuffed by the senators in the session today, saying, of course it's important. It's a provision of the Constitution. But what does that say to you, that the governor does not think it's important to have a deputy?
I think it speaks volumes as to the kind of ad hoc nature in which many of the, issues pertaining to running of Nairobi County have been, undertaken over the past few months. It is an issue. You cannot say it's a non-issue. The Constitution itself describes how a county government needs to be structured. So in as much as we are concerned about, provision of water, issues of cleanliness, garbage, security, etc. in Nairobi, there's a reason why the framers of the Constitution thought it wise to have certain structures within a county government. And it is for that reason that I brought that statement. Because, the excuses we had, there's no provision in the law, etc., were not, the governor of Nyeri who appointed a deputy just followed the Supreme Court direction. Correct. And a Supreme Court decision is actually binding, even if it's a advisory opinion, it's binding, because we have no higher judicial authority in this country. Nairobians want services delivered to them. For us to deliver those services, we must make sure Nairobi is properly constituted as per the law. Having a deputy or not cannot fall under the whims of any individual governor. So for me, it was not even just about, this particular instance, but what precedent does it set for the rest of the country? That provisions of the law are mere suggestions that you take or don't take, that constitutional provisions are not binding, you can either choose to follow them or not, because left to his own devices, up until 2022, he will remain without one.
But the concern here is, and he said he's tried. He nominated Miguna. That was thrown out. He talked about the spirit of the handshake and the proposals that were brought to him. And he now argues that, in fact, he will not appoint any other person until Senate brings about this bill. And as far as we've seen it go to the National Assembly, now it's back to the Senate. So where are we? What's the status?
I think, number one, it will not be entirely up to any one individual. We've made it clear within the provisions of the County Government Act and the amendment has gone through both houses. Just a small period of mediation, and it will be provided for. And today what we got was a commitment on the record of the House, which when it sits has the same jurisdiction as, same power as that of the High Court, that as soon as the law is assented to, which I know it will be done for, soon, we'll expedite it, we'll have that position filled. But you see, for me, the position of governor or deputy is really not the issue. It is the attitude towards which public service has been taken. That, the ad hoc nature that, we can have this or not, we can have this or not. And I said, let's stop personifying counties. It is not about Sonko or about Sakaja or about any individual. It's about the structures of governance in a constitution that we enshrined and bequeathed ourselves in generations to come. If we cannot respect that, they're not about issues affecting even, the small trader in Nairobi, issues affecting licensing, issues affecting whatnot. How will those be looked upon if you have this casual, outlook towards provisions of the law?
Yeah. The governor accused you of, instead of petitioning Senate, should have gone to him and raised these issues personally with him, and also brought in that perhaps this could be a 2022 ambition that you seek to oust him as governor, and that is why you're on his neck.
When he brought up that issue, initially he said that we are friends, and since we are friends, I should talk to him about it. And I had to remind him that 847,000 Nairobians, voters, in fact Nairobi has more people, but the voters, gave me a mandate to exercise a constitutional office of Senator of Nairobi, not of friend of Sonko. I cannot tell Nairobians the issues you raised to me. I met him last night over a drink and we sorted it out. I have a mandate to play an oversight role on the floor of the House, until my term as Senator ends. And I will continue exercising my mandate as Senator without fear, without favor, diligently, remembering those people who lined up to vote for me and give me their trust. When he said it's about 2022, in fact he said that was the tactic he used to use when he was Senator against his then governor. I told him, look, as you've noticed by now, our style is different. You might have had fist fights and whatnot and rescue teams, etc. I don't do it that way. Every issue I take up, I look at it objectively and bring it to the, mandated and competent platform, whether it is the Senate or whatnot, to deal with.
Yeah.
I told him I have not declared, and I said to the committee, and it's in public domain, I have never declared anywhere that I'm interested in being the governor of Nairobi post-2022.
Okay.
However, even if I would be, any Kenyan can vie. The seat belongs to no individual. So anybody can vie. Even I can vie. But until I am done with being Senator of Nairobi, I have not put my thoughts there. And I said, I have not declared I want it, and you've declared you don't want it. Yeah. So where are we meeting? You've said you want one term. Yeah. I've not said I want. So let everybody do his work. And that's the beauty of our constitution. Yeah. If every entity, every structure of governance plays its role as it should, Kenyans would benefit.
So for the record, Nairobians watching this, the governor has not broken any law. The governor says there's a lacuna, and there are those who argued for the same, even some senators today, like Kangata, said there's a lacuna in law, and that needs to be fixed. So was this session today necessary?
There is no lacuna in the law at all. The Constitution, number one, defines how a county government looks like. It says a county government is made up of a county executive and a county assembly. The county executive has a governor, a deputy, and up to 10 CECs. The county assembly has a speaker and MCAs. We have no speaker. We have an acting speaker. We have no deputy governor. Up until a week or two ago, we had, I think, 4 CECs. Yeah? So if you look at that together, the provisions of the County Government Act, there's no lacuna in terms of how our government should be constituted. Number two, if the question then is there a lacuna in how you appoint a new deputy if he resigns or passes on etc., there is no lacuna because in terms of sources of law, edicts by a Supreme Court form part of our law in our country. And even if you go to the Hansard of Parliament, during that discussion, it was clear from senior counsel. We have 3 senior counsel in the Senate. It was clear from them that no, this decree by the Supreme Court forms part of our law, because what they do, they interpret the law that exists. So yes, there is law that is made by statute, by bringing a bill, etc., and making an act of Parliament, but also there's law that comes out from judicial interpretation. So there is no lacuna at all. So what we'll just do is to now cover up that last excuse by having the law, the Act of Parliament in place. But the Constitution is clear.
But then let's talk about, so let's say the bill passes, it becomes law. But you saw the appointment of Miguna, and many argued this was just to ensure he appears to have obeyed the law, but in the same breath, one that cannot be acted on in as far as becoming a DG. What if this kind of situation continues to play out? That yes, there's a law in place, but then makes appointments that at the end of the day, it becomes just a cycle we are on, and we end up with no deputy governor.
You see, at the end of the day, none of us is, like I don't care who he nominates. It is up to his discretion. Can nominate any person he would like to nominate. The nomination, however, needs to be a realistic nomination that you will take to the county assembly. You cannot send a name and then tell them vote this one down. So we keep doing that perpetually until we find ourselves in.
What if that happens?
Well, I guess then the courts will have to declare themselves on the matter.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's the concern that I raised at the beginning, that instability that we witnessed in his government, so no DGs, speaker, the CECs. What does this speak to? There are commentators who say this is a governor who's paranoid. The others who say this is an unstable person. And all kinds of accusations, allegations have been leveled against what kind of leadership this is. I wonder, as Senator, how you describe it.
You see, for me, the personality or level of paranoia is not my issue. It is not about, and that's why I'm saying personifying these offices makes us fail to see the light, and we just see heat in these discussions. So it's not about him as an individual. It is about how a county needs to be structured. You need to have stability. When everybody who's the chief officer is acting, they don't even have the confidence to execute their mandate. Your CCs don't have the confidence to, because if you're acting, tomorrow you'll be removed, somebody else will come. So you're just getting by. People don't want to commit themselves. And for me, that is a concern in Nairobi and in all the other counties that we have. We need to have serious, bureaucracies within, these structures of governance, that people will come there and exercise their mandate with confidence. They know they have the confidence of the County Public Service Board, they have the confidence of the governor, and they do their work. Yeah. And for me, that is my concern. So whether there's, I don't know, you've called it paranoia or instability in terms of the individual, that is the voters who decide the kind of individual they vote in.
But bottom line, as Senator and holding to account, it's not to personify the issue, but the governor is the person of Mike Mbuvi Sonko right now, and he's the one ensuring the situation, or perhaps not ensuring, allowing for things to be as they have been in his government. So still, to the question, what does that say of the governor of Nairobi County?
You see, my opinion on his personality will be very subjective. The people who are allowed to have opinions on personality of other leaders are the voters, and that's how they choose. You see, so even their wisdom, they voted for him as he is. For me, I want to make sure whoever is the governor anywhere in this country will not be able to run a county government as a personality issue or based on their own whims, but there will always be structures. Sonko will not be governor forever. Whoever who comes in will not be governor forever. But we must be able to build our institutions. Our country will rise and fall on the strength of institutions of governance. And that is what we must build. And that is where my focus is. In fact, even last time when it was being discussed in the Senate, people had very unsavory things to say about him. But I went back and said, no, members, this is not about the character of the individual. Because sovereignty, according to Article 1, rests with the people. So once the people choose this type of a person, and choose this one to be the senator, this one to be the governor, they have chosen, you must respect their choice. Some people say, it's a supremacy battle. I even said on the floor, I said, if anybody tries to impeach him at this point, I will stop it, because I don't think that helps the stability of our county at this time. So I want to make sure that if your personal, whatever character issues prevent you from doing what you're supposed to do, then the law must compel you to do what you must do. Let's just abide by the law.
Yeah. And when finally there are ways to work around the law, how is there a likelihood of compelling an opening, of getting the governor to do what must be done, or do we still have to then sit back and say, okay, he'll nominate person, as you said, one who may not be able to because of whatever issues that may arise?
There are many ways. There are many ways that then our final and last resort.
Yeah.
And if you look at the PFM Act, if you look at the County Government Act, the Senate has ways, the County Assembly has ways, and so do our courts.
Talk to us about those ways.
There are many ways, and I don't want to go into them, because then it will be that those are the things we're planning to do. But the provisions in the law, whether it is through the disbursement of certain funds, whether it is, you saw what happened in Makueni last time, about the county government and its suspension, etc. And those are things we do not want to see in Nairobi. We want work to go on being done. We want work to, in fact, service delivery must go a notch higher. And I keep saying this, and I don't know why it doesn't get it and these people don't get it. For me, as Senator of Nairobi, if the governor of Nairobi succeeds, I succeed. And I'm happy. I live in Nairobi. I was born in Nairobi. My kids are born in Nairobi. You know, and so we want a city that is actually working. And people must realize that at some point it's important to separate. And that's why, you know, I agree with the people who say politics should be left for 2022. Sometimes it's very important to separate the politics of a matter with the actual reality of the issue and development. Nairobians don't care the name of the deputy governor. They don't care who it is who will come. In fact, they probably don't even care whether we have one or not. You know? But then what they want is to be able to go out in the evening to shop, or to take your kids to school in a safe environment, to go to hospital to find drugs. That's what they want. And you are saying that the framers of the constitution so that what we want, we all want the same thing, you know? Go about your life peacefully, make something out of yourself. That can best be provided within the context of this kind of a structure. Yeah. So that's why for me it is about making sure we have the right structures in Nairobi. Yeah. It will be remiss for me as Senator of Nairobi to have stayed for 3-4 years without a county that is functional. Article 96 gives me the mandate to play an oversight role and to protect the interests of the county and its government. But the county government is not an individual. And that's why for me I separate the personality issues. Even they might try to bring them up, I know how to see beyond that. And we said even today, that work will continue because that's the mandate I was given. Yeah. So for those who gave me the mandate, Poleni, I have to do it. Those who didn't, I'm sorry, I have to do it. I will not be stopped. I will not be intimidated. I cannot be, because I know the oath of office I took. And that is what we want. Yeah. Let us be able to look at issues objectively as leaders, always. Before
I let you go, you've mentioned service delivery. That's what Nairobians care about the most. So how do you rank the governor's performance so far? And also, you know, it's been raining now, and there are those who are saying, okay, we were waiting, and then now we'll see the floods as we've seen in some parts of the city. What was done about drainage, same issues year in, year out. How do you rank his performance on delivering services?
I think that would need a better empirical analysis of all the issues that are devolved. But in terms of the perception and in terms of what we're seeing ourselves, I would give him a very strong 5 out of 10, because there are some things that they're getting right, and that I must admit. There's things that are being done properly in Nairobi, in terms of digitizing revenue streams. Though the revenue has gone down, we need to investigate why, by 9 billion. But digitizing it, reducing loopholes for corruption, especially of on-source revenue. There are certain recreational facilities being done, Dandora Stadium, etc. Some things that are going well, and the governor is very lucky that national government is supporting Nairobi more than it did even in the previous. So if you look at Eastlands, the roads are being done by the Urban Roads Authority, Kura, are doing roads. The World Bank is supporting, some of our hospitals. So based on what people would see, there's a 5. But there's more that can be done. And we're telling him, let us get this done. Yeah. For Nairobi, let's get it done. The politics will sort itself, Ukombele. People will decide. So it's a strong 5. But I want it to be an 8 by the time he's going to the election. Right. So that if he's voted back in, he comes back in. If it's somebody else, they come back in. If it's me, well and good. If it's somebody else, well and good. But our politics can never be around, this question has been asked, so I'm being fought, no. Yeah. There's a reason we have these interactions between our different structures of government.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sophia.
Senator Sakaja, and interesting to note that if in fact the revenues in Nairobi County have dipped now, remember when Mike Mbuvi Sonko was elected governor, in the first months what he kept saying was an achievement for his government is that they were collecting more revenue and that in fact they were able to pay salaries. So what has happened? Perhaps